Hi, I'm Tunio, and today shortly will try to explain and share some information about our new project, pCloud, about the TIP project, and some startup moments we went through with this project.
You get it somewhere? Perfect.
I think all of you know what is pCloud, and maybe you will know. pCloud is cloud storage for all your files, and in this time when the information is growing, personal information, everyone needs a service where to store and have access from any device, from anywhere to this information. pCloud is solution for this problem, and we have independent cloud storage which do not take any space on your devices, and at the same time you have instant, fast, and very easy access to your files. Why pCloud is the better solution? Because, as I told, we are independent. We are not like Dropbox to take space on your hard drives or something like this. We are independent, but at the same time you have very quick and very fast access to your files and all your updates to your files and which you made or your coworkers. We have all of the little features which are suitable to cloud service, but we have some unique features. One of them is upload link. You can create a upload link and give it to anyone, and anyone can upload files directly to a folder in your pCloud. And there's no size limit in this. Sending files, sharing files are the normal things about the cloud storages, but with share the files with your coworkers, we can give you full settings of permissions to give to anyone, like modify, create, delete, or just read-only access. Of course, we have an open API for the developers, by which developers can create incredible apps which work directly with our service, and it's really free for all of them. Our next steps is to be in your TV, like apps, or directly integrated on all your multimedia to stream directly from the cloud, from your cloud, your files, your music, or your photos. We want to be a known name in enterprise cloud storage services. And the main feature we want to work on is to have fully featured encryption of the data which is stored on the cloud. And of course, to be in top 3 worldwide in cloud services. We have some big challenges that are big competition, strong competition, marketing, but the most important for us is the problem how to create and develop good team with really fantastic people to work. For the moment, we are the right team for this job because some of us have worked before in projects which are related to cloud, like web hosting or file sharing. We did some projects, mobile projects, little projects, and at the moment all of our teams are great specialists in their spheres, and the most important and good in this is that all of team members complete each other very perfectly at the moment. But the main lessons we have learned are related to the team. If you have ideas can be good, but they can remain just ideas. The most important thing is to create and develop a right team to do this. We tried with big experts, with big knowledges on frameworks and informations about and languages close to mobile development, but it's impossible to work with these big minds because the ego is very big. And the result was disappointing. After that, we tried with fresh mind guys which have no experience, work experience, and they came very quickly to the point when they start to be helpful for the business and to create efficiency for the business. The most important is when you hire people, sometimes you make mistakes and you have to fire. If there's someone who doesn't want to work, fire him. If there's someone who doesn't passionate about the project, don't like the project, fire him or her. The good team and the good developers are the most important for this kind of projects. Just note. As I write there, the good developer can easily be compared to 40 mediocres. There's some more lessons, and why we are doing this and why in Bulgaria. Because we are very passionate about the project, we like it very. We are very happy with the increasing numbers of our users. And why in Bulgaria? Because Bulgaria is where we're born, where we live, we like to be here. And because in Bulgaria there's a good organization like startup, like Telerik, like the new Nakov University. And in Bulgaria, there are really good people to work with. Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody, I'm Georgi. I'm one of the co-founders of Imagga. I can proudly say that Imagga is one of the most ambitious and tech-heavy companies, startup companies emerging from here, from Bulgaria. So it has been a long story for us. The original concept or the original idea actually was born back in the end of 2007 and the beginning of 2008. So at that time I have a few more founders, then some of them left and I left alone for some time. Then Chris and Pavel and a little bit later Stavri, our fourth co-founder, joined the company and we started to shape the new future of what Imagga is going to be actually as a business, not only as a kind of pet project as it was before. So we were struggling for almost 2 years to find some kind of outside financing. Maybe this was one of our mistakes, that we were so fixated about thinking about how to get some kind of outside funding to actually make things happen, instead of hard working on the actual implementation of the idea. But along the way, we also learned a lot of things. We got our first round of microseed funding from the Open Fund in the end of 2010. And a few months later, we started to generate revenue and also pivoted or changed the way of where the company is going to go. And we started to generate even more revenues. And about a year ago, we also were able to be one of the first companies that is attracting 200,000 investment from one of the EIF funds, namely LaunchHub. In the meantime, we also were the winner of the second prize of the Intel Business Plan competition in Europe, and we were also selected to take part in the finals of UC Berkeley, the Intel and UC Berkeley competition, and there we won the second prize of the group about information and communication technology, so it was also quite a success for us. Come on. Okay, so some things that we learned along the way. I'm not going to explain what we actually do. I guess that some of you know. If some of you don't know, maybe we can discuss later after the presentation. But we learned a few very valuable lessons. One of them is that it's important and it's quite valuable to be visionary. And what I mean by that is that you shouldn't be a copycat. You know, when there's some trend like the social or the mobile or whatever, everyone is thinking, oh, this is such a great thing, this is a huge thing, and I have to do something in that. Well, it might work sometimes, but especially with trends, typically the moment when you see trends, if you're not part of that trend, it's already too late and you're going to be like some kind of mediocre, mid-stage or half-baked product that is trying to just take advantage of a trend. So think of yourself about people who want to create trend or people who want to foresee trends before they has actually popped up to the public. The other thing is that you can waste a lot of time and energy in vanity activities, like going to just walk around and explain to other people what kind of huge ideas you have, but never actually take an action. And one of the most important things about having a startup is to be able to execute. And I have a very sincere ask for you. I do hope that we are not going to see any one of you on the next startup conference. And it doesn't mean that I don't want to see people here. I hope that we are going to see even more people next year. But my ask to you is don't be like just people who are going on every next conference, they're waiting for the next annual event and stuff like that. You should be the guys who inspire others to go to this conference, but the way to make that is to actually sit back on your ass and do some hard work and execute. And next year, I do hope that we are going to see some of you here on the stage so we can share your experience. But I can honestly say, if you don't execute, if you're just a blowhards and you say that, okay, we're going to do that and that, don't be in the permanent state of wannapreneur because it's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make along the way. Here's some startup math. You know, a lot of people are wondering or asking how you can do something that you beat the competition, or if they have this huge amount of funding or resources, or they're like 1,000 people. But even mathematically, I think we can prove to a certain extent that you can beat the big guys. One of the reasons is the Pareto rule. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but what's the Pareto rule? Is that you can achieve like 80% of the end result of your goal by spending just 20% of the original work that should be needed to complete it, to fully complete it. What it means in the context of a startup, you have to make a lot of decisions, what to do, what not to do. There's a lot of plethora of opportunities, what you want to do. So one of your key role as an entrepreneur, as a successful entrepreneur, is to select which is the subset of things that you can do very well and that are going to bring you like the 80% of the result if you have spent like 5 times more resources. So this is part of the math. The other thing is that, you know, if you're an employee in a huge corporation and you're working from 9 to 5, so basically 8 hours, 5 days a week, and not putting a lot of passion in what you do, basically you are going to achieve some kind of mediocre results. But no, I'm going to continue. Some smartasses eat at our time from this discussion, so I'm going to be very rude and I'm going to continue. One of the things is that you should constantly think about what you want to achieve and actually act on it. When you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, you should think about that. Don't be like just an employee thinking that you're going to spend 2 hours a day and you're going to change the world. This is not going to happen. I think it's very important to help the community. You should find what is the right way in your context to do so. Especially if you're part of an accelerator program or something, you should try to get as much as possible energy in and out of this community. So try to catch up with some other entrepreneurs, try to get some actual help others, and I think that this is going to help you also to be much more efficient and ambitious. And the last thing, it's about ambition. I honestly believe that the higher your goal is, and the most ambitious your goal is, the higher your chances to succeed. Because it's very important to have something that motivates you and that keeps you up at night. And when there are some hurdles along the way, if you have a mediocre goal, something small or something tiny, at the first moment you have some kind of problem, you're not gonna like overcome it. But if you have something that you believe so much and something that you think will have such a high impact, you're going to overcome a huge piles of problems. Okay, that's it.
Now it's Bojan, Bojan from Storpool.
Hi, I wouldn't bore you with too much information about what we do. How many of you are in a startup right now or want to start a startup? Oh, quite some, good. I made it very practical, like 3 little stories about things that would matter for a startup. I'll give you some background about myself. One of the things I remember when I was really young, maybe 5 years old, everybody asks you, your family, what do you want to become when you grow up? And I was saying like businessman. Everybody was answering, I would love to be a doctor or a dentist or something. I said, I want to be a businessman. And here are some things that would matter if you want to do a business. So first thing is start with a problem that you have, or start with a problem that many people have. How do you do this? You go outside of the building and talk to people. I'll tell you two small stories here. First, I've been doing a lot of things during my life. I've been selling stuff door to door. I've been running startups. I've been involved in all kinds of stuff since the age of 10, maybe starting my first venture. A friend of mine called me and he says, I want to make this very nice restaurant. Would you help me with finance and business development because you know a bit more about it? I said, okay, I'll help you. And we did the venue that we want to go and hang out in. It was very cozy, very warm, very pleasant. It turned out that it has enough customers to pay some bills, not enough customers to pay all the bills, and eventually you go bankrupt. So make sure you have enough customers to get you through the cycle if you're doing something that you are the customer. The other thing, the current startup we have, Storepool, we went out with another startup to sell services and products to other companies. We asked maybe 15 companies, would you buy our product? And they said, no, 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 no. And it was, they said, we'd love to use it, but we cannot pay for it, so there is no business case. And then we said, okay, what is your biggest problems? And everybody started saying, well, it's storage, it's too expensive, it's hard to manage, it's hard to scale. One day we came back to the office, we said, like, what's the problem with storage? And it seems that we can solve it, and that's how we started Storepool. The other thing is, it's all about people. It starts with you, it starts with your team members, it starts with your partners, your investors, and there are a lot of people out there coming and saying, like, I'm talking to Facebook, or I'm talking to Google, or I'm talking to Sequoia, or to somebody else. Actually, you're not. Nobody talks to Facebook. You know, you talk to certain people in these organizations. Make sure that you have good relationship with them. Make sure that your interests are aligned. You can bring some value. You can help them achieve their goals. Make sure that your co-founders are very like you in their values, because this is what breaks companies. Usually it's not funding, it's not competitors, it's usually founders' issue that breaks the company. Make sure that you have values that are aligned. You're business guys, technical guys, different profiles, but make sure you have the same value system and integrity. And the last thing, Georgi mentioned about execution and its results. You have to get traction. You know, it's the only thing that counts. It's not your PR article in TechCrunch. It's simple things. And if you're starting a startup, keep it really, really simple. You don't need 5 KPIs or 50 KPIs. 3 is just enough. You start with 3, and here I've listed something. You know, you have things that matter, like the bare essentials, because we're talking, for example, to investors, and they don't understand our business because it's really, really technical. But you have to find some small metrics that you can go to the partners or to your team or to your investors and say, this is what matters, and these are the results that we achieved. Even if you don't have sales, you can go out and say, like, for the last 6 months, I've spoken to 207 companies, 50 of them became interested, 5 gave a try to our product. It could be that simple. And this is it. Very quick. We're hiring. If somebody is interested, have a look at our website, drop us an email.
You don't speak bullshit like most of us. Like, these are founders, they do. Thank you. Next will be Kaspar from Swipes.
I think I can get this one. Sorry. There you go. Thank you very much. Some water. That's fine. Perfect. Hi everyone. My name is Kaspar. I'm a Danish entrepreneur. I'm currently just moved to Sofia to work on my 5th startup called Swipes. And I'm here to share a lot of the experience and bumpy rides that I've had along the way. So hopefully you can take a lot of the advices to use as well for yourself. So my first startup was a good friend of mine when I was 19. He had a great idea about buying cheap razor blades in China and sell them in Denmark, because everything in Denmark cost €1 million. You can get a Fiat Punto down here for a pack of razor blades in Denmark. It's crazy. So it was a great idea. We built the web shop and we launched it, and we started selling like crazy. But in 2 months, it turns out that those razor blades were fake. I mean, who the heck would have thought of that when you buy it from China, right? So it got a pretty expensive lesson for us. We We had to give a lot of money back. We tried to buy some new runs from America, and in the end of the day, we closed down the business because we simply couldn't make enough money on it. But I learned a very important thing, that I have just as much fun building companies as I had when I was a child building Lego. And I think the only difference between building a company and building Lego is that when you're done building your company, you shouldn't destroy it right away. Unless, of course, you're Bill Gates and hire Steve Ballmer as the CEO. Sorry, Microsoft, if you're out there. So, fired up by all this passion about building a company, I started attending a lot of these startup events. And I met some really great guys at startup weekends and stuff like that. And a guy had this great idea around making a Groupon or Grappo down here for a wine in Denmark. And so we figured out who wouldn't like cheap wine, right? So I joined as a developer. We built it in 4 months. We launched the product, and it turns out that the only persons that didn't like the idea around cheap wine was the one who had to sell it. They didn't want to give us that big of a discount, and especially not to give us that cut. So I started wondering, could we have figured this out just, 4 months before when we actually started building it? Yeah, we could have went out and talked with those shop owners. It's a basic concept of customer validation. So with this in mind, I got a new idea. I wanted to make a location-based deal service where if a restaurant owner, he didn't have that many customers on a Tuesday, he could take his smartphone up, press a button, and then he could send out a discount to people around him to fill in his shop. So we went out and talked with a lot of restaurant owners. I got a team of 4 developers. So we went out and talked with 10 or 20 restaurant owners, and all thought, this is great. I would love to get more customers on Tuesdays. This is really a pain for me. And we built this product for 8 months with all the crazy features that you can get, amazing design, got it out, and when we get in there to sell it to them, they said yeah, this is not how we want to do it. This is not how we work. I just want a calendar. I'm not in the shop on a Tuesday, right? So I started wondering, maybe 4 developers is not the best people to go out and solve and make a startup. So I wanted to find someone with complementary skills. I went to London, pitched a new idea that I got. I want to make a mobile dating game. Instead of these chat messages things and profiles and all that, learn about each other in a fun way. A girl set up a challenge, and some guy could take some pictures of their favorite t-shirt, learn about each other by recording on sound on a mobile phone and stuff like that. I found a partner, Jamie, who was a business guy, so we got the complementary skills. We built the product in 3.5 months, shipped it into the market. We got some early traction. It didn't go as much as we expected, but it was a really good start. Now, we needed to change a lot of things in order to get it there, and we wanted to go in 2 different ways. I mean, he wanted a corporate business, and I wanted this open startup. So we had to break up, and we validated the idea. We got some early traction, we got the complementary skills, and yet still we didn't manage to make it work because we didn't share the common vision. So it turns out that it's really complex to build a startup. There are so many things you need. You need the great idea, you need to get that market to pursue, but most importantly, you need the right team, because at the end of the day, it is the team that will make you keep walking when things is bad, unless, of course, you drink Johnny Walker. So meet the Swipes team. We are a great complementary skills. We got business, design, and development. We can build everything ourselves, which is so awesome. We share the same vision about where we're going, and most importantly, we have the same passion for what we're doing, about building productivity. And I think you talked as well, Georgi, about this passion is so important to make you going. So we started out with a big problem about building this project. So we had this long list of all kind of clutter about how could we make focus on what was important, and that was how we made Swipes, a simple planner where you just get all your tasks into an inbox and either swipe them off or snooze them off for later, so you can always keep focus on what's important. And I have a nice video I want to show, but I think I'm out of time, and there's no sound. It's a nice jingle. I could emulate it. There you go, thank you. So in this way, we help so many people now reach task list 0. You have no idea how great that feels to empty your task list every day. So, and now you probably think, there are so many task managers out there, and that is absolutely true. We managed to be featured in Apple with our first version in the US, and we got covered by some of the biggest media saying that we have some really innovative features that should be in every task manager. But all of this was only possible because we had that team that was able to execute on an ordinary idea to make it special and keep pushing it towards where it should be. And I hope you can take a lot of my learning points out there. Thank you very much for listening.
Cool. And last but not least, we have Finn from Number Pictures. And I'm not sure if we got your presentation, but probably we do.
No, I don't have a presentation.
Okay, cool. You don't do presentations?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm Finn Fitzsimons from Number Picture, and I'll just tell you my story, basically how I ended up here in Bulgaria. I'm originally from Cape Town in South Africa, and about 4 years ago I was a poor student with a bit of a drinking habit, living in Cape Town, and I started getting interested in data visualization, and I was looking at these examples of data visualization I was finding online, places like Information is Beautiful, infosthetics.com, and I wanted to be able to make these myself. So I started looking around for tools that could enable me to do this, and I found there was a great divide between the tools and the things that people were producing, so that they were doing everything manually, basically. And so I had the idea, why don't I make a tool myself? And it was quite an ambitious idea because I didn't have any experience with development, and I didn't have a team, I didn't have any money or anything. So I started approaching people, and quite quickly I realized no one was going to help me with this idea. So I decided to teach myself how to code, and a year later I launched a very rough beta of a charting application, and I had something like 100 different types of charts, which were you couldn't find them in normal charting software like Excel and whatever. So it immediately received quite a lot of critical acclaim and was featured in a book by the International Designers Network, and a few big blogs. And a company here in Bulgaria called Kametric found the website, and they asked me to come here and work for them. I got a lot of experience working for them for 2 years, and eventually they bought the website. But eventually, I felt the website was gathering dust in their portfolio, so I decided to buy it back from them and apply to 11. We got accepted. We got the first 2 rounds of funding, and now we're about to launch our beta. So what I took out from my experience was that things don't happen unless you make them happen. If you want to do something, you've got to initialize it yourself, instigate it, and doing a startup is infinitely. I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but doing a startup is infinitely more rewarding than working for a company or working for somebody else, basically. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell, and you can come speak to me afterwards if you want to know more. Thank you. Thanks.
Cool. Me on stage again. I think you've got enough of me today, but I'll be moderating this panel, and it will be short. And I think we have quite a good selection of people over here with really exciting stories and a lot of experience. And you better ask some questions in our online feed, or later on I will give you the mic as well. But I want to ask one really important question. Why you, and why what you do?
Well, I can start.
Whatever.
Why?
whatever.
Okay. So why us, and why what we do? I think that in most situations, people, how they actually come with some ideas that can turn into a successful venture. I think that from the one perspective, people should think about something that they can do, or they're eager to learn to do, and something that people actually want. So I think that you should find the intersection of what you are passionate about, so you can either already do it, or you can very easily and effectively learn to do it and how to do it. And then at the same time thinking of what the ecosystem or what the environment wants. So I think that this is how we actually find an intersection of something that we are experts in, passionate about, and people want it.
Cool. And something that just struck me is that all of you guys, all the ideas and all the projects are quite international. Like, none of you really is really focused on the local market, and this is quite good. But isn't it difficult to run a international startup being based in Sofia, a little bit away from the Silicon Valley, a little bit away from Europe? And why have you decided, and especially you, Kaspar, and Newfin, moving into the country and doing it from here?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to actually share a story with you guys, because this is not something you hear a lot, but we actually see much more value in being in Sofia right now than being in Silicon Valley, because we believe we can build a much more technological, competitive product right here. So that's why we want to stay here, at least until we get ready to grow it. So, and it's better to be.
Yeah, we need to applaud
you.
for this answer.
And it's definitely. I mean, we get so much more out of being here in Sofia than being in Denmark. I mean, I love the startup community down here. So.
What about you, Finn?
The community in Bulgaria is actually much more developed than the community in South Africa, surprisingly. So the startup community. So for me, it's a step up coming here. But yeah, I guess in terms of finding investment and the sheer number of investors and whatever, it's smaller here. But yeah, we're yet to encounter those sorts of problems, properly. We're still getting to that stage. Yeah.
Cool. Like, I really believe that as a community, if you really want to grow, we need to attract more and more people. And like, founders can be Bulgarians, but co-founders can also be from other parts. And I mean, this is kind of a cool thing. Like, this is what is happening in the Silicon Valley, actually. Like, not any problem. Like, a very small percentage of the people that are doing startups in the Silicon Valley are from the Silicon Valley. Basically, people are flying to Silicon Valley to do stuff. So, like, having these two guys flying into Sofia, it's like a proof that there is a community, there's something happening over here, and this is quite cool. The theme of the conference is what's next, and this is like a logical question that I want to ask you. What's next? What's next in your business? What's next in your plans, and how? Like, these are international businesses. These are businesses that need international big clients. Some of them are in the B2B, some of them are in B2C markets, different approaches, but what's the next big bold step that you want to make, short term, let's say?
Me? Okay. Our next goals are to achieve some new features, which are really exciting and really need to be real cloud, because at the moment the cloud is something which is wrong at all, because the cloud, as already always know how is Dropbox. You need to have all these files on your hard disk too, and if you want to have more and more, I think something like terabytes, 2 or 3, you need to have this hard disk. And that's why the cloud at the moment is a little bit in wrong in the way that it need to be, it must to be.
I feel like sorry for interrupting, but like using Dropbox and copy, it's not an extension, but rather a copy. And I need an extension.
Yes, that's why pCloud is independent storage. You don't need to have all this information on your hard drive. It's appear like a part of your hard drive, and you have easy, quick, and fast access to all your files.
So what's the biggest challenge for pCloud?
Uh,
Getting the traction, getting the first huge
Yes, the first
swiping.
huge. This kind of business is going to grow like the snowball from the field going down, and when we put together some critical mass of users, when they start to send files through pCloud, when they start to share files, to co-work with the files in the pCloud, then the growth will start to be easy and will become more quick and more quick. That's the moment we have to break the point when this, to catch all this critical mass of users.
So this is like a huge milestone for you. Critical mass users prove that you can compete with
have
Dropbox and
ambitions.
Copy and all the other, like Microsoft also have SkyDrive and
Okay, so it's not a problem for us because we have technical issues that the others don't have. We have more unique features than them, and we
they
are really
can
fast.
iterate quite fast though,
We
because
are
they
really
have a bigger
fast.
teams, but yeah.
No,
So-
we don't want to have a bigger team. We want to work just with few peoples, but to be the right peoples. At the moment we are hiring, so if there's someone who wants to make the impossible, welcome.
You should give a try to pCloud though. I mean, I got a 100 gigabytes of space from
Yes, I think so. If
Tunio,
you want,
and
you
I
can
kind of
have
like
1
it.
terabyte.
You
and-
can play music online, like you don't need to download stuff, and like different cool features. I'll move to Georgi and ask him about the next big thing, even though I know the answer.
Yeah, so from the end customer perspective, we actually really want to help the way how people interact with images, because it's something that people got used to do, but it's more like from the times when you have like 100 or 1,000 pictures, and when you have 10,000 or hundreds of thousands of pictures, either if you're a person or if you're a business managing tens of millions of pictures, there's no convenient way for people and for businesses to organize their photos. So our biggest challenge is to actually make the change, and from one perspective is like the technology core that's needed for this to happen. From the other side, it's like educating people and educating and converting our early adopter customers and growing the community of like customers and users to something that really go mainstream.
Bojan?
Well, I don't believe there is one big thing you're working on. I think that success comes from working on 100 small things that just add up and add up. And every once in a while you hit something big. But for me, it's always focused on the value that we deliver, which is always the customer. For example, we were talking with some investors for significant funding for the company. That's our second round of funding, Series A so-called. We're talking to some of the leading technology companies in the world, but this is something that's insignificant. I mean, if you do a great job, if you do a great product and you have a lot of customers, investors will come knock on your door. And I've spoken to many entrepreneurs in Bulgaria, and they said they're calling us all day, emails, they want to meet us, they want to fly to Bulgaria and meet us. Why? Because we have huge customer base and very outstanding product. So for me, it's like polishing the product, developing new features, and getting into more and more customers.
Cool. Kaspar?
Yeah, so we kind of built the personal experience for how to handle your tasks, and the next big thing for us is to be able to put that experience on top of existing project management tools like Asana, Basecamp, all these things that I showed in the slide with this clutter, so you can work with the task within there, and that's kind of like the next big problem we found that we need to solve from our users.
And Finn?
Well, our next big thing is our beta. So it's actually our current big thing. And it's going to be a charting application where you can pull in data from either static data or live data from public APIs, and connect it with that we've got something like 450 types of charts we can implement, connect the data with those, and customize every aspect of them. We've got a partnership with Font Fabric It's a really good font platform, and then you export in any format you like. So that's our beta, and we've got a few ideas what's coming next, but we'll keep those secret for the moment.
Can't wait to play with the tool then. Okay, I mean, failure is a word that nobody likes, but it's, let's say, not significant, but it's part of the startup life. You know, it's like you plan stuff, you work hard on it, and things just don't happen sometimes. And you know, you believe this is the next big thing, and people are not buying, people are not clicking, people are leaving. So what was the biggest failure? What was the biggest challenge? Let's say in your current or previous startup experience, if you're not having any troubles with the current.
Well, for us, I think it has been for us to be able to deliver fast enough some things in the timings that they are important. Because, for example, we have a talk with one of the biggest handset producers of like mobile phone producers in the world, and we set like pretty high expectation about what we can deliver, and there was some discrepancy and mismatch in the timings that we can actually achieve that. So I think that this is one of the recent things that I can recall of something where there might have been a big opportunity that we've missed, at least for a period of time, and eventually some of these opportunities may come back. But yeah, I think it's especially in execution and delivery. But
there is a question for you,
yeah,
Georgi.
who's the fucker who's asking this question? I cannot.
It's quite funny.
Yeah.
1 minute to answer this. List all Imagga spin-offs.
so yeah, we don't have.
Do it in a minute.
So we don't have like spin-offs. We have one core thing, and it's our API, and all the other things that we have are kind of supportive about that. So we have like crop me, we have like colors like me, we have like auto tag me. Now we have a slicky that is still in stealth mode. But all these things, their purpose is to be a different like vehicles, how we promote the things that we do. Yeah.
Cool. Anybody on the failures, the hard stuff?
I mean, I went through my failure, so I think that I hope.
You've done that. Okay, we're short in time, so I want to open up for some questions from the public. So if you have questions for these great founders, I know there are some questions left on the board, but probably it's better to interact. So do you want these guys to? Do you want to ask these guys something? Come on, people, you need to have questions. Do you? No, you don't. Are they boring or no? Should I ask these questions then?
Is it a Bulgarian?
Oh, there is another
No.
one. Somebody prefers to type and not ask on the mic. Okay. How old were you when you started your first startup? Very quick question. Answer.
27.
27, Georgi?
22.
Boyan?
It was not formal startup, but about 10.
A number, 10
10.
years old?
19.
19 and
25.
25. So you started you started,
I really.
you're the oldest. Yeah, you waited longest. Okay, Kaspar. Oh, there is a question. Okay.
Hello, I have a question to Kaspar. What could be your revenue model of such an application?
Well, that's a really good question because we had a lot of trouble figuring that out. But we've made it into like software as a service or freemium where we take a subscription. So we charge a low, affordable price to the most requested features that we've made. So, and we've validated by implementing some teasers and testing it out, and because we saw a really big conversion, then we've chosen to go with that business model. So a monthly subscription. But again, it's a hard choice, but it makes sense for us.
Thank you.
I would like to answer the how do you convince the first investor to put money.
Yeah,
is
there
that
is
okay?
a very good questions about convincing the first investor. Yeah,
So
go ahead, Georgi.
like Chris and I have been involved in many events or some kind of pitching initiatives where you want to pitch and to get some money. I think that one of the most important, common thing is that you should build credibility. I think this is the most common denominator that you should have. You should build credibility. No matter how you do this, you should achieve this. Of course, there's a lot of cliches, like you have to prove the team and the capacity of the idea and stuff like that. Actually, people care about credibility. That what you say is actually achievable. You should make them feel like they can do it, or they could do it if they were in front of you, instead of you, in your shoes. So it's credibility. Just build credibility.
Looks like the personal life of a startup is quite interesting. So do you guys have girlfriends, boyfriends?
Yeah, I have a wife. She's in there.
Yeah. Fantastic.
You
wife
can
with two
consider it
boys.
a separate startup, and it's very hard to manage both two startups in.
There is another good, I think Bradfeld wrote that one as well, the startup wife thing. Yeah?
I'm not sure. I remember.
What was
that
the name of this book? So basically how to handle wife when you're a startupper and
It
all
was
the
Brad
trouble.
Phelps, wasn't it?
I
Was
think
it Bradfeld or somebody else?
Yeah, I think he wrote it.
I
something
think
like-
he-
yeah.
You need to
Okay.
read this book, guys.
I think he had a book about how to make the balance between personal life and startups.
Yeah.
Basically, you should consider your girlfriend or boyfriend a part of your startup team, because without absolute support from their side, you won't.
Do you think
make
it's a good idea, like going to bed and discussing this MVP and this pivot?
I can tell you, I co-founded with my girlfriend, so
It works.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes we need to make time where we don't talk about it, but it's working really nice because
Okay, I mean,
you can actually go 24/7, right? Which you said
Yeah.
you should. So
I think it's quite personal, but I mean, we have a very good, example over here it probably works. So
yeah.
good for you guys. So get a girlfriend that's techie and start hacking together.
Well,
Any other questions? Or
Can
anybody
I
have
answer one more? Because
Yeah,
I think
okay,
it's very
which
important.
one?
How to know when to change course and when to persist
Oh, yeah.
with the original idea. I think that there's an important difference between the concepts. One of them is persistence, another is stubbornness. So basically when you are stubborn, you are just looking in one direction, and it's typically based on your ego, so we don't want to change mind. I think that almost any idea, but of course after some transformation and positive mutation, can go to something successful. But you should be open enough and adaptive enough in a good way, so make it successful. If you are stubborn, typically the energy that this idea originally have will be one way or another depleted, and you better cut it off.
Cool. Thank you, guys. One final word, like one final statement out of your mouth to the public. So if you can say one thing, what would that be?
Execute.
Be passionate about the thing you're doing.
Be proactive and think long term.
Keep walking.
Launch as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Cool. Good advice, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for taking the time. I know some of you were taking part in the investment process.
Oh yeah, I saw the questions.
Have you got the investment?
So we don't get an answer before in 4 days, just so.